Even though we're still 10 days away from Destined Rivals, the Pokemon Company has officially confirmed our next sets. Yes, following Pokebeach's initial leak, it's been announced that Black Bolt and White Flare will release a special dual sets on July 17th in Pokemon TCG Live. Since there's no booster boxes, you'll have to buy Elite Trainer boxes or collection boxes on day 1, with booster bundles arriving a month later on August 22nd. Unfortunately, Pokebeach reports that stock for Black Bolt and White Flare will be severely limited. Unless you want to beat people off outside Target, you might want to wait a few months before trying to buy anything. One of the reasons why the set will be underprinted at launch is because the Pokemon Company is reprinting old sets like Surging Sparks and Prismatic Evolutions. So in order to catch up on old stock, current future stock is suffering. Getting back to the sets, as we already knew, Black Bolt and White Flare will include every Unova Pokemon between them both. Additionally, all 156 Pokemon will receive an Illustration Rare or Special Illustration Rare card, meaning you can expect around 350 cards total between both sets. Not only that, you'll find 3 different holo patterns, including either a Rainbow Pokeball or Master Ball. Basically, this set is a scalper's dream and a collector's nightmare, and that was before there were going to be shortages. For competitive players like us who finger their cards longer than it takes to put them in a top loader, each set will have 6 Pokemon EX for a total of 12. This includes Superior EX, Zekrom EX, Kyurem EX, and the yet-to-be-revealed Meloetta EX in Black Bolt, and Reshiram EX, Jellicent EX, and the yet-to-be-revealed Keldeo EX in White Flare. Specifically looking at Pokemon TCG Live, expect there to be a new Battle Pass on July 17th, meaning the Destined Rivals Battle Pass will be just 7 weeks. Now, I know some of this is old news. I was fully planning on making a video last week, but the card reveals were crap. So I decided to wait an extra week, and well, for a dual set with 170 or so cards that's out in Japan in less than 3 weeks, they're sure taking their time. Anyways, with all that boring stuff out of the way, let's talk about all the new card reveals from these past 2 weeks. And by far the biggest is Jellicent EX. As if item locking wasn't bad enough with Badoo doing it for free and Tyranitar doing it with its ability, Jellicent EX takes things one step further. Put Jellicent in the active, now your opponent can't play items or tools from their hand. Considering that one of the ways around Badoo in an evolution deck is using TM Evolution, well, Jellicent removes any thoughts of doing that. And if you're worried that your opponent might have a chance to use items on their first turn before Jellicent sees play, fret not. Frilish's attack for a single Psychic Energy does 20 damage and item locks. So at worst, you could evolve into Jellicent and use Relicanth to copy Frilish's attack, item locking them even if they boss away your Jellicent. Otherwise, you can use Jellicent's attack, which is slightly underwhelming. For a Psychic and a Colorless, it does 80 base damage. But if there's 4 total energy attached to Jellicent, that jumps to 160. And 160 just so happens to be half of 320, meaning it can one-shot a Dragapult EX with Lily's Clefairy EX in play. One way to power up Jellicent is with Xatu and Ignition Energy. Xatu accelerates a Psychic and draws 2 cards, while Ignition Energy coming in White Flare provides 3 colorless energy, though it does get discarded at the end of the turn. And if games against Gardevoir didn't take long enough on PTCGL, they now have access to an ability-based item locker who deals a good chunk of damage. I'm not sure how much better Jellicent will be than Guardy's typical attackers in Screamtail and Drifloon who take one-shots all day, but it's definitely something that will exist. Or how about using Jellicent for its ability only? Pair it with Alakazam EX and you can deal 120 damage from the bench while continuing the item and tool lock. This seems like a lot of effort to do 40 extra damage, so maybe something like Jellicent and Frostlass Monkey Dory is better. Or pairing it with a hit and run card like Excelgor. That does bring up the issues with Jellicent. Both it and Frilish have a 3 retreat cost, meaning Air Balloon won't work. Though you could pair Air Balloon with the Toedscruel featuring an ability that sounds like a euphemism for something I only get to do on my birthday. And that might not be the worst idea because it opens up the possibility of playing the Toedscruel that blocks recovery from the discard pile to their hand. The other problem is Frilish having 80 hit points, meaning it's not Poffin searchable. Overall, Jellicent EX is a strong card. Maybe it's me still being in denial, but it doesn't seem completely game-breaking. Unless they run it with Team Rocket's Watchtower and maybe Iron Thorns EX and Badoo. You know what? It's really starting to feel like the Pokemon Company doesn't want us to, play cards anymore. In happier news, we have a new Zoroark that is fair and balanced and allows both players to play the game. For a single Darkness Energy, you can jack off their mind and deal 30 damage for each of their bench Pokemon. Pair it with Accompanying Flute to fill up their bench, plus Brute Bonnet and Binding Mochi to get it up to 190. And that increases to 280 if Area Zero's down and they have a full bench of 8. While this isn't that much better than a Baby Roaring Moon deck, what helps Zoroark is its secondary attack. Just like Mew EX, for 3 colorless energies, Zoroark can use any attack on your opponent's active. Boomers might also recognize that the new Zoroark has similar attacks to Zoroark and Zoroark Break from the XY days. which is weird because this is a black and white set. Kalos remakes confirmed? Anyways, to launch Foul Play, either attach Reversal Energy or Ignition Energy. Losing Ignition Energy at the end of the turn isn't that big of a negative because Zoroark's unlikely to survive a hit at just 120 hit points. Like pretty much every semi-viable deck with a 1 energy attachment attack cost, Zoroark seems like a prime candidate for Frostlass Munkidori. Being able to one-shot Gardevoir is huge, and the Frostlass Munkidori package helps you soften up ability-heavy decks. While not insane by any means, Zoroark definitely seems like a good rogue deck that will have a decent win rate against the top decks in format. The only other noteworthy cards revealed over the past 2 weeks come in the form of the Reuniclus line. For a single colorless energy, Reuniclus can evolve each of your bench Pokemon, essentially turning it into a souped-up TM evolution. And also for a single colorless energy, it does 40 base damage plus 40 more for each of your evolution Pokemon in play. Have a full 6, that's 280. Get Area 0 down in a full field of 9, that's 400. Since you don't really need to do 400 damage until Mega Evolution arrives later this year, you can easily play a basic Terra like Cornerstone Masked Ogerpon to activate Area 0 instead of an Evolved Terra. Speaking of Cornerstone Masked Ogerpon, Reuniclus gives Mamoswine EX a way to one-shot it. Though you will have to take out either the Pidgeot or Blaziken line to make room for Reuniclus. Honestly, I'd say playing the Jello-covered substitute on its own is probably the best course of action. Farigiraf also doesn't seem like the worst partner, as its attack does damage based on the number of Stage 1 Pokemon you have in play. It also allows you to run Farigiraf EX, which activates Area 0. Though actually attacking with Farigiraf EX will take some finagling, as you'll want to use Jet Energy and Reversal Energy. And I'm not sure why you'd want to run it in this particular deck, but the old Reuniclus exists, allowing you to potentially flash Stage 1s or Stage 2s directly into play. Now, before you break out the foot lotion and start brainstorming ideas, one reason to maybe not get too excited about Reuniclus's first attack is Vivillon. While Cellular Awakening is great, you still have to evolve Reuniclus through conventional means. Vivillon, meanwhile, can be put into play turn 1 because both Scatterbug and Spupa are able to evolve right away. Except Vivillon has never seen play. Not even in a Mamoswine or Torterra deck where it'd make the most sense. That being said, the second attack seems surprisingly strong on Reuniclus, and I can't wait to mislead people into thinking this is actually meta. Unfortunately, just like 151, it seems like there's going to be a decent amount of filler in Black Bolt and White Flare. While Zekrom EX and Reshiram EX offer up some potential excitement, it seems like the designers blew their entire creativity load on those legendaries because Tornadus, Thundurus, and Landorus all suck. Their first attacks are all just attach an energy either from hand deck or the discard pile to it. Huge meh. Then for 3 energy, they all do no more than 110 damage, each with a negative effect. If this kind of disappointment seems familiar, they're pretty much exactly like the Ogerpon coming in Destined Rivals. Those all have a first attack for 1 colorless energy that accelerates an energy with extremely disappointing second attacks that don't do nearly enough damage. If you're looking for a good partner for the electric reprint, you might want to keep looking. Sitting at just 90 hit points, the new Galvantula discards all attached lightning energy and does 50 damage for each lightning energy discarded this way. You can pair it with the old Joltik to accelerate some energy into play early, and even a copy of the old Galvantula to hit for a grass weakness. Aside from the very low hit points, my main issue with a Galvantula electric deck is the fact that you basically need 4 electric in play to do anything. Yeah, you can accelerate energy with Joltik and Electric Generator, but if you want to wall up your opponent's active for 250 under item lock, that requires 4 electric plus a manual attachment. But devoting so many slots to these stage 1s means you'll have to play less energy overall, making your Jenny attachments less likely. And you'll also have to have Shaman and Rabska and probably Psyduck when it's out to help against Dragapult and any damage spreaders. Yeah, like Scarlet Witch in her dreams, I see the vision, but I can already tell this is going to struggle heavily in a world with Dragapult and Dusknoir. Finally, there's Foongus and Amoongus. You know a card's not great when neither Justin Basil nor Pokemon proxies make a proxy for it. For a single colorless energy, if your opponent's active is affected by a special condition, it does 150 damage. Pair it with Brute Bonnet and Binding Mochi, you're doing 190, which is the same amount of damage as the new Zoroark. Problem is, there's no spice here. Whereas Zoroark's second attack can copy something from their active, Amoongus' second attack is useless. To be fair, there's a lot of grass-weak Pokemon in Standard like Charizard EX, Grimmsnarl EX, and Garchomp EX, so maybe Among Us isn't as bad as it may seem at first glance. And at the very least, it's better than Amoongus EX, which you probably didn't even know existed. We're still waiting on several EX Pokemon to be revealed from Black Bolt and White Flare. If I had to guess, Unfezant will be one of them. I mean, they gave us this Pidove in Temporal Forces more than a year ago, which specifically mentions Unfezant EX, yet we still don't have one. Oh, and as you can see from the Elite Trainer box images, they're also bringing back the old black and white energy patterns. I'll be back next week with another Black Bolt and White Flare preview highlighting all the cards revealed across the 7 days, even if they're bad. And believe it or not, the Sunday after that is when we should know all the cards in both sets. Yeah, while we're Team Rocket's Great Balls deep in Destined Rivals, we'll already have the full set list for Black Bolt and White Flare. It's too much, I tells ya.